Good afternoon. My name is Antonio Caldwell, and I will be reviewing visualizing hypothesis testing. Let's go over our agenda. We'll first define what null and alternative hypothesis testing is. We will then look at using visualization to hypothesize four core areas: the mean of a data set, a comparison of two groups, a comparison of means, and then lastly, a correlation. We will then wrap up by looking at some takeaways, and then I will open it up for questions. Let's first look at the definitions. A null hypothesis, represented by H naught, is a hypothesis set up to be rejected in order to support an alternate hypothesis labeled H subscript A. When used, the null hypothesis is presumed true until statistical evidence in the form of hypothesis tests indicates otherwise. Transversely, the alternate hypothesis, which is the opposite of the null, is a statement expressing a relationship between two variables or indicating differences between groups. Let's look at our first visualization, the test for a mean. You'll notice here that on our y-axis, we have the probability of defect, and then on our x-axis, we have the number of defect widgets out of 100, and we have this nice bell shape here. Now, the research question. On average, are the widgets from Acme Widget Company defect free? Our null hypothesis is the mean is defect free or equal to defect free, which is going to be H naught mu is equal to 0. The alternate hypothesis is that the mean is not defect free, which is H subscript A, mu is not equal to 0. Our second visualization is comparing two groups. So you notice that we have two bell graphs here. We have the red, which represents the minors. We have the blue, which represents the league. On our y-axis, we have the number of home runs, and our x-axis, we have the fraction of team that are home run hitters. Now our research question. Does the average major league team have more home run hitters than its corresponding minor league? So our null hypothesis is H naught mu is greater than or equal to mu subscript m. So are the major league hitters, are their home runs greater than or equal to the minor leagues? Our alternate hypothesis would be the major league hitters if they're less than or equal to the minor leagues. If you take a quick look, just eyeballing, you can tell that the mean for the major league is greater than the minor league. And so then we would accept our null hypothesis. Let's look at visualization number 3, efficiency comparison. So we have in blue our single queue with single servers in sequence, and our red represents the single queue with multiple servers in sequence. We know that the two graphs are representing the number served per hour, and then I'm sorry, it's representing the number of hours served, and then along the x-axis we have our number served per hour. So the research question is, the efficiency curves of the red and blue teams were recorded. Do the teams have equal mean efficiencies? So null hypothesis would be if the red are equal to the blue, and alternative would be if the red is not equal to the blue. Our last visualization is looking at a correlation test. So here we have our weight On the y-axis, we have our miles per gallon. On the x, you'll see that our p-value is less than 0.001. And in previous discussions, we've noted that if our p-value is less than 0.05, or it's a very small number, that typically we would reject our null hypothesis. So let's see if that's true. So the study shows a German study tested how larger industrial use vans utilize gasoline. One of their analysis plotted miles per gallon versus the weight of the various vans in the study. After plotting the data on a scatter plot, the researchers performed a correlation test and found a significant correlation. However, they forgot to state their hypothesis test in their published paper. So, a very important question. What were the study's null and alternative hypotheses? We are looking at the null hypothesis, which will state there is no correlation between weight and miles per gallon, which is 8 knot, and we did the relationship R equals 0. The alternate hypothesis is the exact opposite. If there is a correlation between weight and miles per gallon, so that's R is not equal to 0. And as you'll see here with the scatter plot, that it does hold true. We would reject the null hypothesis, and that the alternate hypothesis is yes, there's definitely a correlation between miles per gallon and the weight of the vehicle. A few key takeaways in creating a hypothesis test. You can state the hypotheses using words and or equations. And if you can visualize it, you can create a hypothesis test for it. Using visualizations, we've learned that a curve or a plot of data can hint at a possible hypothesis test. If the curve is bell-shaped and fairly symmetric about the highest point, then the highest point will represent that mean. I thank you for watching this video and ask that there are any questions. Reference, we do have our works cited as well. Thank you.